There's this funny line in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where it's like, space is, really big. I mean, you don't understand how big it is. It's ginormous. It's you might think that the trip down to the mall is something, but that's just peanuts to space, and so on and so forth. It's making fun of the common trope we see in like things like Carl Sagan and Cosmos and those kind of, any science textbook where it talks about how huge space is. And obviously, it's true. Space is really big, ginormously big. It's huge. Now, I have a question. What does this mean for us? Because we always think about this, and it makes us feel very insignificant. It makes us feel very small and sad, and makes us feel like in modern times we know that how small the Earth is, and it's a pale blue dot, as the famous phrase goes, and that must mean that we humans are not very significant at all. It's very small, unlike in the ancient times where they didn't know how big the world was. We now know how huge the universe is, and therefore we have some sort of philosophical insight into how small. Okay, let's stop here. What does it mean that the universe is so big and we are so small? And do you really think that the ancient peoples didn't know the universe was big? I mean, does it really matter that they thought it was somewhat big and we know exactly how big it is? Or we know it's at least much bigger than they knew. They knew it was big too, because to be honest, we're small compared to just an elephant. We're small compared to just the Earth itself. It's already enough to make us feel small, and what does it matter how we feel? Maybe we should think about this a different way, okay? Now, there's two really possibilities. Is either that there is some sort of God, some sort of creator, or that there is nothing. And in either case, the size of the universe is not really important. If there is a God or some sort of creator who made us for a purpose, it doesn't really matter whether the universe is huge or the universe is smaller, or even if the universe consists of just this world, which obviously it doesn't. I mean, the point is that it doesn't really matter how big it is. If the universe is purposeless, then also, if the universe was really small, it would also be our lives would also be purposeless. It doesn't really matter how big the world is. We're all stuck in time. We're all getting buried, and in the end, if there's no God, then our lives are meaningless. And I'm sorry, but there is no meaning to life if there's no God. That's just the way it is. Get used to it. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's just common sense. If there's no God, if there's no life after death, then your life is meaningless. Just sorry. I mean, you can make a meaning out of it, but that doesn't really mean that your meaning is anything more than a mental trick that you're playing on yourself. So I just think that if you believe there's no God, you should just be consistent with your worldview. But anyway, if there is a God, then I want to talk about that because that's actually a more interesting question. Okay. So suppose that there actually is a God and he made the universe and he made it mind-bogglingly immense, which of course he did. We know that he did. As much as we can know anything, we know that the universe is really huge. I'm not calling that into question or anything. What does that mean? I mean, think about it. If there is a God and he made the universe really big, what does that mean? Well, I can think of one way one possible solution for what it means. It might mean that he just wanted to use the universe to show us how much bigger than us he is. Like, I'm really big. See how big the universe is? I'm even bigger. Okay, so, well, what does that mean? Well, it depends on what your beliefs about God are, I suppose. Now, if you're a person who believes that God is hostile to you, a person that believes that whatever powers created the universe don't like humans, then it could mean that God is just bragging, I suppose, saying, look at me, I'm so big. I made the universe big, and you're so tiny and puny, and, just know that I'm in charge. Just don't even try to challenge me. I made the whole universe. Okay, so that's one possible reason for it. That's kind of like, I guess, H.P. Lovecraft would think of it that way. We are tiny, insignificant specks. If you're a Christian, then I suppose you could use this bigness of the universe to argue that maybe God's showing us, hey, I love you. I love you so much that, see how much bigger than I am, bigger I am than you are? It doesn't matter. I still love you. So I'm using this just to show you how much I love you. That's what a Christian would interpret this as. And if you don't know, well, then I suppose the bigness of the universe doesn't really tell you anything one way or the other. I mean, honestly, it's so huge that you just can't even think about it. I mean, But then again, I think the Earth itself is so huge that compared to me, a 5'10" guy, the Earth is the largest human possible would be insignificant compared to the Earth. Compared to just Colorado, I mean, the largest human would be small. I mean, really, how important is size anyway? It's important how it makes us feel, but what does it really tell us about anything? So the next time you hear like this argument or this thing where we're called upon to behold the largest of the universe and draw some sort of meaning out of that, ask yourself, well, let's think about this logically. What meaning can we draw out of this? I mean, either it doesn't mean anything, okay, or it means that God's trying to tell us something. Those are the only two things I can think of. I mean, if there's any meaning, that's the only thing I can think of. Either it doesn't mean anything, just a coincidence, or it means that God's trying to tell us something. And what's he trying to tell us? Well, I suppose you can have many interpretations of that, but I don't think just that the bigness of the universe means that you are insignificant is really one that really makes sense if you think about it. And one of the reasons is that, as far as we can tell so far, we're the only thing in the universe that is self-aware. As far as we can tell so far, we're the only beings in the universe that are aware of ourselves, that tell stories, that have the capacity to love and to hate and to do things. As far as the world can tell, we are the only things in the universe that can do that. And that makes us very significant because, I mean, if the whole universe is just hydrogen and helium and expanding stars of gargantuan size, and there's only one place in this entire universe where there are people who are aware of themselves and can think and who can experience emotions and fear. If that's true, I'm not saying it is, but if it is true, it doesn't matter how small we are, we're still really significant. I mean, we're rare, for example. I mean, like, there's no one else that does that. Hydrogen doesn't think. So if the whole universe is empty and we're the only ones in it, doesn't mean we're not significant. It means actually we're really significant. The bigger the universe is, the more significant we are. If the universe is full of people, of aliens and creatures that can think, then maybe we're a little bit less significant, but I would suspect that we're still pretty significant, because even if the universe is full of aliens, I think that life is still something that's kind of cool and kind of, more significant and more important than just a big blob of hydrogen somewhere. I mean, not as cool as that is, I think that life and self-conscious life is even cooler. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.